Hello and welcome. I am Amy and I am from Shadow Mountain Publishing. And we are coming to you today we've got 6 of our historical fiction and romance authors that have books coming in the spring of 2024. You guys will have seen our cover reveals, I hope, that we've been putting them up in the last week or so for these books. And we've had a ton of people saying, why are we having like a lot of cover reveals all at once? Or these books are so far away. So we're going to answer some of those questions in this short little live that we're going to share with you today. If you want to tell us where you're watching from, you're more than welcome to drop that in the comments. We always like to see where everybody's at. And then as we go through this, we're actually going to take a little bit of a deeper look into these books. You've seen the covers and you've maybe seen some of like the main themes of the books, but we've not really gone too deep. So this is going to be a really fun opportunity to do that. So we have Shauna and Bessie with us. We have Gentry Flint. We have Megan Walker. We have A.L. Sowards. We have Rebecca Anderson, or otherwise known as Becca, and Julie Wright. So we're going to share their books with you today. So the first thing I wanted to do is just explain a little bit about why we have done these book covers so early, because I get it. I'm a reader and it's so incredibly frustrating sometimes when you see a book cover be revealed and then you see, I don't know, whose is the furthest out? Has anybody got something coming in August? I know that Sean is July. Do we have an August release? Maybe Sean's the last. I don't know. Maybe we should leave
I think I might be the last one.
Yeah, it's July. And how many people, Sean, have already said, I've got to wait till July. It's a month. It's a whole year away.
It's a year. Yes. And so it's a hard, long wait. It will be for me too.
Yeah. And the reason is because Shadow Mountain, we release our lines twice a year. And so those books will populate on Amazon fairly quickly. And you guys will see them all out there anyway. But we wanted the opportunity to share them first, especially for the authors to get an opportunity to share the covers with you before Amazon beats us to it. So it really is kind of one of the reasons why we're doing this. And so we're excited about that. And so we thought that we would start this with a giveaway. I've got a couple giveaways. I love giveaways. And if you've seen me do lives before, you know that I love to give stuff away. So the first thing that I'm going to give away, and Julie's going to love this, because look what I have right here.
I have not even got that in my hot hand, so I'm jealous.
Julie does not even have this in her hot hands. And so this is her book that has just barely been revealed. This is an advanced reader copy of An Inconvenient Letter. And so we're going to give this away today. And so, and when is this one coming, Julie?
I believe it's April.
So you may be one of the first. So anyway, so we're really excited about this. This is like, I think, the only one of all of the guys here that we have an advanced reader copy of yet. So I was like, yay, we're going to give that away. So what you have to do to enter to win this book is just comment on this post, and we'll enter you in as many times as you comment. So have at it, because we love your comments. We love to hear from you. So just anything you want to say. If you want to tag somebody to make sure they come and watch this fun live as well, do that too. So anyways, and we're going to leave these giveaways open for, I don't know, 48 hours or something like that. So you've got time. You know, if you're watching this tonight or tomorrow, you've got time still to enter into this giveaway. We will probably pick a winner. Where are we? We're on Wednesday. I keep thinking it's Tuesday. We will pick a winner Friday morning. So you've got till Friday morning to get into that. And I'm really excited about that. And Julie's like, can I enter?
Seriously, I would love a copy of that. How do I get that?
I know. You got to enter, Julie. You have to put something in the comments.
I'm going to have to say something really wonderful in comments.
I know. Okay, so with that, I'm going to, you guys can have one final wave if you want. I'm going to keep Megan with me. We're going to start with Megan, and we're just going to go through everybody's books, and we're going to share some things. Let me just pull out, I just have to do a few technical things and pull the authors that are going to sit in hold for a minute. I still got to pull out Amanda. Amanda's like, I'm hanging on. Here we go. So this, I'm going to explain what's going to happen here, because the video is going to start playing as soon as I click on it. And what I have basically is Megan's book, Highcliffe House. We have the cover reveal. So if you've not seen it yet, you're going to see it right now. Oh, let's try again. maybe I'm thinking what's happened to our music and the video.
You got this. You got this, Amy.
Well, we're going to let it just play and do its thing and see if it does decide to start. If not, you're going to have to go follow Megan on social media so you can watch it because you've got it out there. Yeah, we've got our sounders up and everything. For some reason, this video has not started playing. So we will find out. Okay, but we're going to talk about it right now. So we have, this book is a Regency book. It's set in 1813 in Brighton. And here's a question, Megan, that I've wanted to ask for a long time. Obviously, the Regency period is fairly small. But do you have a reason for the year that you choose when you pick a year? Or do you kind of randomly go,
well,
1812?
It actually really, there is a reason. And it's kind of tricky because, so for this one, for instance, I had to really pay attention to the Brighton Pavilion. It's called the Royal Pavilion, but I mean, I could go on and on about the research. You have to be kind of a little bit of a nerd when you write historical Regency romance. But anyway, the Brighton Pavilion changed a lot during the Regency period because of the architectural design that Prinny did. So I knew that I wanted it to look a certain way and I wanted Prinny to be out. And anyway, so I had to really look at the timeline there, and 1813 fit. So that's where we are.
Perfect. So there's a reason for those dates, and I love that. I think that's fantastic. So you've got it set in Brighton. I want to ask you why Brighton. I mean, obviously, I'm assuming there's a reason for that, but have you been there? Like, you've traveled to England, right?
Yes, I have been to Brighton, and it is vastly different now than it was back then. But seaside resorts were such a big upcoming thing in the Regency period, and they're so fun to read about. And when we went to Brighton, my critique partners and I just looked at the ocean, and I just loved it. I loved the feel of it, and I loved imagining people there in their dresses and sea bathing and doing all of those things. And so, you know, when you're writing a book like this, you start to research and you get little tidbits that you love, and then those kind of fork out and you get all of these cool ideas and it just piece together, and it felt so right for these characters. So I love it. I love the idea of falling in love right next to the sea. So it's fun.
It's awesome. And you know, I've read a lot of Regency romance, and I don't even think that I've read that many set by the ocean. So this is cool. Like, I'm really
excited. I hope you like this one.
I'm really excited for that. Oh, Megan, I think that we will. I think it's just one of those things that is always nice in this genre that has just so many books to find something that's a little bit different. So I'm excited about that you've got it set there in Brighton. And so here's the next thing that excites me so much, and that is this enemies to lovers, which I think that might be my favorite trope. Like,
oh, it's so good. I agree.
It just gives you so many opportunities for that tension, right? To take people from like, one end of the spectrum to the other. And so tell us a little bit more about that.
So my characters, oh gosh, it's like still so new in my head that I haven't really thought about how to present it. But the girl, my heroine Anna, is the daughter of a wealthy investor, and the hero, his name is Graham. He needs her dad to help invest so that he can make more money because he's kind of had a hard lot in life. And so they kind of fight over her dad's time and attention, and that's what really causes this enemies sort of feel to them, because she needs her dad. Her mom died in childbirth, and but Graham also desperately needs her dad because they're friends, and he needs to make money to keep him and his family afloat. So unbeknownst to each other, they both have really good reasons, and they both love her dad very much. And they kind of have to get to know each other to understand where the other person's coming from. But yeah, that very beginning, that where they don't understand and they just hate each other and they just don't want to understand, is, I think, such a fun place to begin, to kind of peel back those layers for that happily ever after.
Nice, exciting. So here's the last thing on here. You've got this is an upstairs downstairs romance, and somebody actually, I think it was Catherine, she mentioned in the comments that it makes her think of Downton Abbey, which, you know, there's a show that all of us love for the most part. I think I don't think I've found anybody that doesn't like Downton Abbey, that loves historical fiction.
Yeah.
And so is it kind of going to be the same vibe, or is it a little different?
No, so when I think upstairs, downstairs, I think like you're falling in love with a servant. And that's not really what my book is. It's more that Graham does not have a lot of money. And some things have happened in his life that you'll read about that have kind of put him in a really hard position for a gentleman back then.
Right.
Because money and status were everything. So he starts at this really low point, and Anna starts at this really high point. Her father has money and property, and they're doing really well. And so from that perspective, he is kind of this like not looked well upon society. He's still growing in society's eye. And she's like, I don't want to say she feels like she's too good for him, but she definitely is like, we're not on the same playing field here. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, that's fantastic. I appreciate you clarifying that, because that really helps us understand a little bit more of depth of the story. Awesome. So, well, we're not going to tell you much more, you guys. You're going to have to just put this on you're going to have to go to Goodreads. I'm not sure if it's on Goodreads yet. We will check and we will let you know when these books are listed. But, as soon as you see this popping up on Amazon, go pre-order it. Go put it on your want to read list on Goodreads, so that, because I know these books, this is a May release, and so that's a ways away. So if you get them on your Goodreads list, then you have got it stored and saved out there. So I like to do that. I find out a book is coming and I go put it on my Goodreads want to read list, and that way I can keep track. Well, thank you, Megan. We're gonna switch out Megan now. I'm going to try this one more time to see if this will play.
Okay.
No, it's not. It's not going to play nice. Okay. So we're going to take it off. Go find Megan on Instagram. Thank you, Megan, for joining us.
Thank you. See ya.
All right, we're going to bring in Julie Wright. We love Julie. Julie is here, and we're going to talk about her book, which, we have a copy of to give away. So make sure that you're commenting in the comments there. I really hope these videos are going to work. This is just tech issues that I am used to on this platform. So it's not much of a surprise. Let's see if this one is going to work. No, it's not either. But we're going to have
okay, but you have the cover right
we
there.
do have the cover. We can show you that anyway.
Yay!
We have an added bonus with Julie because we have the actual book. But I'm going to leave these. I'm going to pop these up anyway, just because they have our little bullet points there to look through. This also is a Regency England romance. And this one, actually, this is interesting. I think this is 1 year before Megan's. Do you know what I actually thought when I was looking at these and putting these together? I thought it'd be so fun if you guys
you did it chronologically.
If you collaborated somehow, it would be absolute mayhem. But for your characters to kind of cross over, they pop up as a cameo.
That would be really fantastic. I think we can make that work.
I don't know. This is Amy and her crazy ideas. I'm very good at that. Okay, so let's see. So we've got Regency, and this one is kind of interesting because you've got London countryside. And as I was thinking about this one, Julie, I was like, obviously I'm from England, and so I'm very familiar with different aspects and areas, but obviously London has changed a lot since Regency England time. So I was kind of wondering, Julie, where exactly in the surrounding areas of London have you placed this book?
It's actually in Norfolk. So I don't know that you would call that the London countryside, because it feels like it's far enough out that, So I don't actually know where London countryside came from, because it's in Norfolk. So it's not really.
It's on the information I have. So we can switch that in our marketing. We can talk about Norfolk.
It's in Norfolk. So that's where it's at. So and I chose the time period because I needed the season to be in a particular, I needed the weather to be right. So that was the reason why I chose the time that I did, is because I needed them to be sitting in season at the right time so that the weather was appropriate for the girls to be out and doing the things that they're doing. So
yeah. I tell you what's interesting as I'm looking through some of these comments here, we've got Mara there saying she doesn't like love triangles. I don't know if anybody likes love triangles in a story, to be honest. We all love to hate the somebody that's getting in the way, right? But you've got a love triangle, and it sounds like the fake courtship. A lot of people love the idea of a fake courtship. So we're onto a winner there. And hidden love letters. I think one of my most favorite historical romance books I've ever read was the whole premise was around this hidden, hidden like correspondence that was going on, and like the two people knew each other. This is kind of hilarious. They kind of knew each other and despised each other in real life, but they were communicating through letters and they didn't know. And, you know, it kind of turned out all well in the end because, you know, it had a happy ending. But I would love to know a little bit more about this, Julie. Like, give us a little bit more insight without spoiling it. This whole fake courtship, love triangle, hidden love letters thing.
Well, the love triangle. So for those of you who don't love them, trust me, it's going to be fine. You're not going to be. It's not one of those love triangles. It is more of on the lines of To All the Boys I've Loved Before. It's kind of a Regency take on that, where these love letters accidentally end up in the hands of people that they're not supposed to. And this our main character gets, Marietta is her name, and she gets blackmailed basically with these letters because they're found by somebody a little unscrupulous, but not really unscrupulous. He's actually one of my very favorite heroes that I've written. He's super fun, but it's just it's a cute blackmail fake courtship of, hey, I'll give you your letter back and it's if you'll pretend to have this courtship with me, if you'll you know, and it just kind of snowballs, and as she's trying to get her letter back, it snowballs into mayhem, and it's super cute. Their romance is really cute. I actually just finished editing the galleys for that, so I was surprised that this came out, but it is I was surprised at how funny it was because it's been a long time since I've read it. So I'm like, man, I'm hilarious. This is really funny. So it's fun.
I love that. I love that. Yeah. I mean, I think most reviewers, the people that get these advanced copies, and if you are, you know, reviewing books, I mean, I think we understand. I started out as a reviewer before I went into marketing. And you understand that changes are made. Like sometimes there's changes and edits that happen after getting books. So we're not worried about that. And anybody that reads it and then reads the final version may get a nice surprise. Is that what you're saying there, Julie?
Oh yeah, it's going to be great.
I also love that. I think there was one author that changed the entire ending of a book after the art copies went out. And it was awesome. I felt like I was reading a new book. So yeah, we're giving this away. For anybody who's joining us new, giving this away today, you just have to comment in the you know, on Facebook or YouTube or wherever you're joining us from. You can just make some comments and you'll all be entered in to win that. That's fantastic, Julie. So this book is coming March 2024. I think it's the first of the group. So Julie gets to go first and pave the way for the spring line. So
somebody just made the comment, so many great books are coming up. I just want everybody out there to know, yes, all of the authors, especially today, I mean, there's some really great books. These are all, I love their books. I love it when I get my own copies of them. They're just a bunch of really good writers here.
Yes. Oh, such talent. And so get this one. Again, I'm going to say it about every book. Get this added to your want to read list on Goodreads and on Amazon. You can hopefully we'll have some good pre-order deals on there too for you as well. So excited about that, Julie. Thanks for joining us. And I'm going to switch. I'm going to take this off. I'm so disappointed about these cover reveal like videos. I was so excited to share them, but it doesn't matter. Okay, so we'll take that one out.
Go on Instagram, see our videos.
They're all on Instagram. That's right. So. And how can people follow you, Julie?
Instagram's a great place to follow me. There's also my website, but Instagram's probably the best place. It's the place where I am most active.
How are they going to find you?
It is Scattered Jules, SCATTEREDJULES, because I am scattered and everybody calls me Jules. And that is why that is my handle for pretty much everything.
Perfect. So now you know where to find Julie. Julie, thanks for joining us. I'm going to switch you out now with, who shall we choose? I think I'm going to go with Gentry. Hey, Gentry.
Better unmute so I don't mess up.
No, it's you're fine. So we are going to, these videos. I'm just going to pause that so it's not rolling across. No, it doesn't want to. It wants to keep going. Okay. So Gentry. Oh, this is exciting. Now, how many books have you written before? Because you and I have not met. And so I am way excited to get to know Gentry. Is this your second?
New. Yep, I am like new.
Yes.
So yeah, this is only my second.
Your second book. And I have to say, when I saw the cover reveal for this one, I think I had a slight I think I had a teaser. I got to see a little bit of it. I think you were choosing between different music for this one, weren't you? And and I put in my 2 cents on which one I liked, and it ended up being that way. And I loved it. When I saw this one drop, I was like, oh, I'm excited about this one. So this book is called To Love the Brooding Baron, and this one will come out in June of 2024. So almost a year that we have to wait for this one.
Less than a year.
Yeah, less than a year. Hey, that's a good way to describe it, to make us all feel better. That's funny. Okay, so this one is also Regency England, but you know what? We love Regency around here. I feel like it's just an awesome era to like read about. There's just something about it that I love, and I'm assuming everybody else does because they're here hanging out with us. And this one is actually set in London, right? Okay.
In London.
I'm going to ask you a question about this. So is like the entire story set in London, or is like, do we head out to a house party somewhere? This is all in London. So this
one's all in London, and
all
to
in
top
London.
it off, it's during the summer. There is no season.
No season. Well, there you go. That makes it a little bit different. Yeah.
I'm taking you around London, where I don't really think I've ever read in a book where these places where I'm taking you. I'm kind of excited about it.
Exciting. I want to ask you where, but then that probably would be a really boring conversation for everyone, for everybody else. But I'm just going to read the book and then I'll find out. So that's awesome. So this one here, you've got at least my information is that this is an opposites attract
You've
story.
got a brooding and a sunshine.
So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what is it about this trope that you wanted to kind of go after in this story?
So these two characters are actually featured in my first book, Games in a Ballroom.
Okay.
Arabella, who is Emerson's sister, and Northcott, who is Emerson's friend. And Arabella is just this firecracker with Shakespeare. Her common phrase is Shakespeare is always the answer. And so, like, she is who she is, and you have to love her for it. And then Northcott is the man of very, very few words. And so I just love the mashup between somebody who talks a lot, which is like me. I sometimes talk too much. And then you get the guy who's kind of like my husband, who just kind of hangs back and listens. And it's cute to hear what they listen to and what they pick up on.
Interesting. So with that, I've not asked anybody this question yet, but I really love a really good character growth arc where you see changes. Are we going to see that as this relationship develops, or like, are we going to see any, like, I just love to see that in a character. And so I'm kind of intrigued as we're going to see that with both of them. Like, you know,
you'll definitely see it in both of them, more in Northcott, because he has a pretty deep secret, and I drop a hint in Games in a Ballroom what it could be, and then his secret is just, I'm hoping during the whole book everybody's just going to have to stop and go, what, like throughout the whole book. And Arabella kind of not as much of an arc, but she has a few lessons to learn, because who doesn't?
So question for you then, Gentry, do we need to go and read the one that you've already released to enjoy this one, or would it just make it better?
I think it would definitely make it more enjoyable, because it's the same group of friends. And so I've made sure that it can be a standalone, but you just get to know these characters a lot more if you read Games in a Ballroom.
So there we go.
There are Easter eggs,
and we don't have to wait for that one. That one is already
already
out here. So if you haven't read that one, go grab it. Like, that's something you can do today. So, I love that. That's fantastic. So, we also have in here that there's family secrets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about you, but I love a few secrets in the story. So here's my question though: is it going to be really obvious to the reader what the secrets are, or are we going to be kept in the dark?
How do I explain this? it'll be more of a reveal after reveal of bigger pieces, bigger pieces, bigger pieces. So you'll be getting it from the very first chapter. You'll get a piece from the first chapter, you get another piece next chapter. Like it'll just build and build and build, and hopefully just knock your socks off. I'm
Fantastic.
hoping everybody does. I did not see that coming.
Yeah, I mean, that's always the best, right? You want to be kept on the edge of your seat. Melissa's there. She's saying that you're keeping mum about your family secrets. And that's fine. We really don't want any spoilers because we want to enjoy these books. So I love it.
If
This
you
is
go read
exciting.
James in a Ballroom, the chapter where Olivia doesn't show up, Bradbury says something that will give you a piece of the pie.
Okay, so we've got to go read it. That's our homework assignment for the next year. Get this book. That's not hard to do, to get that book read. So go grab a copy and then go find that little nugget of information that we can then dive into this one when it comes out. So this one is June 2024. I'm really excited for this to release. It has a beautiful cover, which I can't show you right now, but go follow Gentry, follow Shadow Mountain Proper Romance. They're all out there. The music is delightful on this one. I love it so much. And then I'm not going to ignore this, but I was told that there's humor in this book.
Yes, yes. I'm well known for my pig in the first book, and let's just say I hope in this book you'll love my goose.
Okay, there's a goose in this one. Animals always can bring in those maybe wanted, maybe unwanted moments of humor, or not so much humor, but you laugh about it in the end. I don't know. I love animals, and I just feel like they're very unpredictable. So I love that. There's a goose in this book. So thank you, Gentry, for joining us today and just sharing a little bit of information about To Love the Brooding Baron. Look for it next June. Let me take that off of there. I'm going to bring in Becca, aka Rebecca Anderson, and I've kind of left Becca until the end of like the Proper Romance group, and the reason I did that is, let me pull this up, because this is Victorian and it's not Regency. I wanted to talk about this one after we talked about the Regency, and we all love Regency, but I'm also a sucker for Victorian England. I think this was like my probably most favorite, aside from like all the Iron Age and the Ice Age stuff that we learned about in history classes in England when I was growing up. I really loved the Victorian era. We had like a Victorian day at school, and we got dressed up, and I had the little maid cap on when I was in elementary school. And so, and obviously Victorian buildings were kind of there and present, like they're still around a lot of the UK. The house I grew up with was a Victorian house. It still had the little bells in each room to press for the servants, and we had the thing by the kitchen. We had the thing on the wall that had the box that you could, that we would ring. We weren't mega rich. Everyone's probably thinking, "We're stately home." Did you?
Yes, no, we definitely think you're rich.
But it was a well made Victorian home, and I think actually it was split in half. And so we were living in, they have a lot of like semi-detached houses in the UK. I think it probably was one big hole once upon a time. And we just ended up living in the side that had the servants area. So we still had those features in our house. And so I love the Victorian era, always have. And I love that you write in this era too. Becca, I want to ask you why you chose Victorian and why you're not hanging out with the Regency crowd.
I wanted to explore a little bit more of the grittiness of real life. Not that there's not real stuff happening in all of the Regency things, but when I read a Regency novel, I am looking for ballrooms and parlors and all of the beautiful planned activities, that happen in those lovely manners novels. And I kind of love the idea of digging into a little bit of what happens during the Industrial Revolution when the world is changing very quickly. But it's not very quickly because Victoria was on the throne for like 80 years or something. Okay, it was like 65 years or something
forever.
Like that.
It probably felt like,
long,
it's like
long
Queen
time.
Elizabeth
So,
II. She was there forever.
The other thing that I love about Victorian is that it really does include a lot of time period. And so it includes a lot of possibility for what kinds of things can happen in the history.
Yeah. And anyone that's read a lot of Victorian stuff will know, like you said, it because it covered such a huge amount of time. Like you could have had something like early Victorian, it's going to be vastly different towards the end of that period. Yes. So where does 1887, to help those of us that are maybe not historians, like you guys are so expert at doing these things.
But I'm learning.
Help us understand what is relevant around 1887, that time period. What does it look like?
Okay. Okay, I'm just going to say that I can't do this very clearly without spoilers, and I'm not going to do spoilers because we've got months to wait. Okay, so in the 1880s, there was a lot of change in industry because people were willing to stand up and say, what's happening in the factories is not okay. And so something in actual real history happened in 1888. There was a strike at the Bryant and May match factory in London. And if you are into cool history and kind of women-led history and also super gruesome pictures, you might want to look up the Bryant and May match girl strike. This story is not about that, but there is a very important tie-in. That is a spoiler that I am not going to give you right now. Does that help?
That does help.
So this is what we call late Victorian. Yeah. Victoria took the throne in 1830 something. Honestly, that's terrible. I don't remember. And anyway, so this is 50 years into her reign. And I don't know. I think that's kind of cool. I mean, and she's going to stay on the throne until 1901. Yes. It's just a really long time in history and a long time in costume history. And so I have all these books that talk about Victorian dresses because you look at a Regency gown and, you know, not that anybody really proper would wear their Regency gown from season to season, but you could. Yeah. But if you look at a Regency dress, you kind of know what your lines and, you know, are going to look like. But if you talk about a Victorian outfit, it could be literally anything. And this is just a little history note that I think is cool. In 1852, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert bought, you say it for me, Balmoral Castle. How do I say that?
Balmoral
Castle. Yeah. And it was in Scotland. And so tartan fabrics became like a thing. And so when you watch a historical film adaptation of a book or whatever, and you see men in plaid vests, the tartan waistcoat was like the thing because the castle in Scotland was the king and queen's castle. So anyway, I think that's kind of fun, but I love the clothing history.
Yeah, I know I've listened to you talk about like Victorian clothing and stuff. It's like a passion of yours. So we will definitely circle back to that and have another longer conversation when, you know, when this book releases, and even like you've got one coming like this week. So, you know, we're going to talk about that a lot more.
Great.
Okay, so we have to go there. Now, first of all, the Cornish coast of the UK is stunning. If anyone's watched Poldark, and I'm a massive Poldark fan, and anyone who's watched me talking on like the Wholesome Romance channels before, you know I love Poldark. I've talked with Sean Bessie about this before. I'm a huge fan, and so I love Cornwall. I've been there a couple times just on family vacations, but it is beautiful. So you have set this on the moors, right? There in Cornwall, or is it like is it kind of the Devon Cornwall?
She passes through the moors to get to this estate.
Okay.
Where
and the
estate is on the coast.
Yeah. And if you've seen the cover to this book, did you just about die, Rebecca, when you saw this cover?
Okay. Usually they give me 2 or 3 options.
Yeah.
They did not. They gave me this cover and I said, I want to marry it. I love it.
I tell you, when I saw it, I thought this is it.
It's so mysterious. It's so perfect. It's so perfect.
Yes, it's beautiful. And it gives us all of the vibes, like ghostly estate. Somebody mentioned this about like, oh, it was Kirish. It said, oh, a ghost element. This is also something that, you know, isn't in a lot of books, but I saw that and I was like, ooh, like this is going to be good.
I love kind of the silliness of Gothic romances. And specifically, I love Northanger Abbey And I love reading Northanger Abbey because I feel like Jane Austen is mocking me. You know, somebody who's
Yeah.
afraid of what's around the corner, somebody who maybe reads and believes a little too easily. And so I definitely read Northanger Abbey a couple of times while I was drafting this.
Hey, you could read Northanger Abbey as much as you want. You're like, oh, a Northanger Abbey break. I fully endorse that. That would be fantastic. We should have. I'm Ashley and I. We should talk about this afterwards. Maybe we should have like a Jane Austen break at work. That would be fantastic. Or maybe we don't. We just read one of you guys' books. We'll have an Orchids of Ashland whole break where we get to talk about all the things when it comes out in April. So, I love that. That's fantastic. And then this one, this Love at First Sight. I mean, who doesn't love that, right?
Okay, honestly, I know it's a little silly because is it really love? It's definitely attraction at first sight.
Yeah.
But it's so sweet because they are so eager to just love each other. And sometimes it's nice to read and write something that's not like my everyday life. That's not what happened to me.
Yes.
This is not my experience.
Yeah, no, it'd be fun actually to ask that question to a bunch of our authors and see has anybody experienced this. It certainly wasn't my experience. I had an embarrassed at first sight experience. I had a terrible first experience, which I'm not going to bore you all with. But yeah, I love this trope. This is fantastic. Love at first sight. And then I did notice that I didn't put this on here, but I believe there's kind of that forced proximity. And this is one of the things that I love in stories when they're pushed together and they have no choice but to spend 100% of the time in each other's presence. And I think I'm also a big fan of like contract marriages and things like that. For that reason is that we've got a reason then for them to be together, right?
Right.
And to have all of that time together. So we've got on there alienation and belonging. We don't have a lot of time to go into that. So I'm just putting it there as a teaser for everybody who's watching this. You're going to have to just wonder what that's all about. Get this book added to your Goodreads Want to Read list. Make sure you're following Rebecca on social media. Do you want to tell everybody how to find you?
Yes, it's under my real name, which is Becca Wilhite. And my last name is Wilhite. So I'm there on Facebook and Instagram.
But on Instagram, I know we can find you that way, but what is your handle? Is it Becca something books? I'm trying to remember.
It used to be that one got swiped away in a hoax.
No.
So, just Becca Wilhite.
Becca Wilhite. That makes it really easy to find you then. So there we go.
There are not very many of us.
Yes. So it should be really easy to find you. Go find her. I am going to do a post later because these videos are not working. So I'm going to do a post when we're all finished. It'll have all of these book covers on in case you haven't seen them. We're going to make life easy for you and you're going to see all of them. They're beautiful. Actually, they're on the information about the event that we're having right now too. So, but we'll have a post all on. Don't forget, if you comment make a comment. Although I see Gentry out there commenting, I'm thinking, is Gentry trying to get a copy of the book? I don't know. She might be.
I want one.
You better get on the comments then, Becca. Well, it's been lovely having you on here. Thank you for joining us and spending a few minutes. Let me get this taken off of there. And I'm going to switch out Becca and I'm going to bring in. Dun, dun, dun. I could make everybody guess and say who's next in the comments.
Well, we're backstage kind of guessing, so
for sure. All right. I'm echoing a little bit. Do you want to just mute yourself?
Yeah, I can mute myself.
Okay. Is that better? Yes, I'm not echoing anymore because nobody wants to listen to an echo. That's right. So this book, well, let's just go there. Amanda, I'm going to call you Amanda because that's your name. It would be weird for me to keep calling you A.L. But Amanda is known, her author name is A.L. Sowards, and that's how you can find her. Amanda's written just a whole slew of fantastic historical fiction novels. And I always kind of joke with Amanda a little bit because she'll always say there's not that much romance, but we always love the romance that she writes in these stories. So, I know we debate that as readers. We're like, did you think there was romance in there? Like, yeah, there was romance in there. And so we love your books, Amanda. I love that the things that you write. You're just an absolutely stunning author. Like, your talent for writing is incredible. And you always take us to places, I feel like, that no one else writes about. Maybe they are. You're probably like, familiar with a ton of, fiction authors out there that have written them, but I know I haven't seen that much of them, and I'm a reader. So if anyone in the comments has ever read anything based in the Ottoman Empire, go ahead and tell us what you've read. But I think that's what makes this so exciting, is that it's new to us, it's fresh, and I certainly love it. And the time era that you've got 1373. And so tell us a little bit about the time, the location, and the people that you're writing about. And I'm just going to throw this out there too. We've got this on there. It's a brand new series from Amanda, and we always love series. And so go ahead and give us some background on that.
Okay, well, thank you for all the nice things you say. And yes, my books, almost all of them have romance in them, but I would call them historical fiction because it's kind of, there's a gray area in there. But yeah, there's definitely a love story in this book, but there's also the history. It takes place in medieval Serbia, which I have not found other fiction that has that setting. So I'm kind of excited to do something that I don't think you're not going to find something on Amazon that's similar to this setting. But this whole series is about the Ottoman Empire trying to take over the Balkans and the people living there kind of trying to resist that. And then with each book in the series, and there's a novella, with the novella too, there is a different character or a different set of characters falling in love to kind of go with the historical elements. So in this one, as the Ottoman Empire is taking over some pieces of Serbia, Constantine and his allies are trying to resist, trying to survive. It's a difficult time for them. And, if you're going to survive with the Sultan as your overlord, or if you want to dream of rebellion, then you need money. And so that leads to an arranged marriage with the daughter of a wealthy merchant. And so this story has an arranged marriage in it, along with a mystery of who's burning their fields and who's sending assassins after them and things like that. So you have the sweeping medieval adventure set in kind of a unique place.
That's correct. I just want to mute yourself. I just wanted to mention that actually everybody in the comments is kind of saying how they love that you take them to a place that they know nothing about. And that's one of the reasons why they love your writing. I wanted just to point out this one and the next one we're going to do. We've included these. These are not actually part of our proper romance series, but they are in our historical fiction. But because there is a romance element, we wanted to kind of talk about them today because everyone here loves romance, right? We love the romance. And so we wanted to include that. I wanted to, I know you just mentioned there your novella. This is really exciting, actually. So the novella is going to come in April, so you don't have to wait as long as June to get into this series. The novella will be available in April, and that's going to be just a fantastic way to launch us into this series that Amanda has written. Beneath a Crescent Shadow is the first book. Do you want to go ahead and tell us the title of the novella?
Yeah, it's After the Crescent Strike. And what happened is I did not write these books in order chronologically. I actually wrote book 2 in the series first, and then book 3, and then book 1 in the novella. So I sent in book 1 and book 2 at the same time. And as I was, when we submit book manuscripts, usually we have some title suggestions. And I had some title suggestions that went together really well. So that was what got picked up. So they all have crescent something in them. So they sound like a set. You'll be able to tell what's part of the series and what's not. So
that's awesome. So I'm sorry, we're having a bit of delay because we've had echo issues on this. So I'm just making sure that Amanda is on there. I think what I love about this is I'm a sucker for anything where there's tension in a story, and this has just got oodles of it. And so I think that obviously we've got the cover to me, we can't see it here, but if you've seen the cover reveal, you know there's like giant sword and there's oh, I'm still echoing anyways. Are we good? And so there's like people in the battle. So I'm assuming is there a lot of like war military kind of action scenes in this one?
Yeah, there's several. skirmishes, and then there's a full-on military campaign where they have to, like, the army leaves several hundred miles away type thing. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think people who like adventure, like a lot of stuff happening all the time, will enjoy the story. There's certainly some character growth for both of the characters. They both are dealing with things from their past or things that they're going through over the course of the story. They both also have some growth in their relationship with God as the story progresses, and that's one thing I really love about the medieval time period is you can have these Christian themes, and it just feels like world building because the church was so ingrained in everything at that time. So there's it's kind of like Christian themes as well in the story. So yeah.
Just go ahead and mute.
Okay, am I causing all sorts of echo?
You're fine. No, I love that about that. And that is, I'm a big reader of Christian fiction. I love when we have those inspirational themes. And you're right, it very organically fits in the time era to have those things included. So I love to be, I love reading fiction, but I think it just adds something special when you've got those elements of the book that can just make you feel good and inspire. So thank you for joining us, Amanda. I'm excited for this. We've got a novella and a full-length novel in the next spring span. So we're excited about that. Make sure you add this to your want to read list and also be following Amanda. Do you want to just share how people can find you?
Yeah, Instagram or Facebook are probably the best places. And Instagram, it's a.l.sowards, SOWARDS. And on Facebook, it's AL Sowards as well. So
That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to just pull that out. And then, let's see. Last but not least, we have Sean and Bessie here with us, and we're going to talk about her book, which let's see if I can pull that up. Okay, that is coming out in July. This is one of the last ones that you have to wait for, and this one is, we've got this one set as a historical fiction, but I think all the romance fans, from at least what I've heard about this story, are going to want to read this book. This one
has a strong romance line in it.
Yes, and this is called A Kingdom to Claim. And I put the Call of the Sea on here because anybody that read Call of the Sea, I think is just waiting. I know I am. We're just waiting for this book to come because it's what, Sean? It is Vikings.
It's Vikings. Yes. I vowed I would never write another one, and here I am.
I don't know what it is about Vikings, but for some reason we all love it. And so I know I do. Maybe I'm just generalizing. I'm stereotyping everybody into what I love, but I love Vikings. I was so excited when the first Viking story that Sean was telling me about came out, and then I said to her almost immediately, I was like, I hope you're writing book 2. And remember that conversation, Sean? And she was like, no, I'm not writing another one.
They're so hard to write. That's why there aren't as many of them. They are so hard to write.
Well, there's not that many of them. And then there's that percentage, not many that are clean and appropriate. Right. So for us to want to read. And so I really appreciate that that Sean has taken the time to write another Viking book because I loved it. And as we sat and discussed the major kind of plot and themes of this book, to get the cover reveal ready for this one, it was kind of funny. Sean was like, I'm going to spoil this whole story for you. She really hasn't. I know a lot about it, but I don't feel like the story is spoiled. And so I didn't put a lot of information on there. We've got that it's Southern Britain. Actually, she educated me on the history. I called it England, and she went, well, actually, it wasn't called England then.
No, this is a long time ago.
Yeah. And so with Sean and I both being from the UK, we like to have those little discussions with us amongst ourselves about things that happen in England. And so it's I was educated, but this story takes place between the Vikings and the Saxons. And I meant to mention this about Amanda's book, which is based on a lot of true events. This one is also based on true events, which I feel like, Sean, is one of your MOs. You have a way of finding some story in the history of the UK. And I'm saying this as somebody from the UK that took history lessons all the way through almost college. And a lot of it's British history. Most of these stories I've never heard of when she writes these stories. And I'm thinking, if I've never heard of them, it's probably not likely the rest of the audience have heard of them, especially in the United States. So what is it about finding these stories, Sean? And how do you do it? How do you find these obscure things that happen? Do you just go read some textbook? I'm like, where do you get it?
Oh, I do a lot of digging. I like you, I took history all the way through school. And I think I can really credit my father with this, because when I was young, he was the one who initially he gave me fiction that was set during World War II. And I loved learning about World War II in a fictional setting. And I think that was when I realized how much I could learn without having to wade through a history textbook, and do it in a palatable way, in a way that I was excited about. And so for me, I just love when a fictional story has a historical backbone, because it just makes everything seem so much more real. And so that's literally what I do. I'll choose a time period and I just start researching. I go down all sorts of rabbit holes, and I knew that I had had enough people write to ask me to write another Viking, that I needed to do my research during the Viking era. And I also, I'm fortunate enough to have grown up in Britain. And so I knew a little bit about British history during that time period. And maybe you're the same as me, Amy, but this book is based on King Alfred the Great. And interestingly, of all the monarchs in Britain from the beginning, he's the only one that received the title the Great. And when you read this book, I think you'll understand why. But he really is the one who that we can thank for the fact that the UK, England, is the way it is now, because of the way he dealt with the Vikings when they were trying to take over. But when I was growing up, the only thing I knew about King Alfred was that he burnt some cakes. And I didn't even know why he was in charge of cakes. I just thought it was a really, really weird story for a king. So I looked up the burning of the cakes, and that was how the story began.
That's awesome. He burnt the cakes. I've never heard that story, and my history teacher certainly didn't share that one. So I didn't even know about any burning of cakes. That's really interesting. Yeah. And here we have a story thanks to the cakes, which, that's right. we love cake. That's right. So first of all, I'm just going to say thank you to the rest of the readers who also pestered Sean to write another Viking one. It sounded like we needed a group effort there for that one to come about. So thank you. But she was saying to me, as we talked about this the other day, you were saying that the whole of the UK would probably be speaking Danish if not for Alfred the Great. So let's be grateful that you and I are not speaking Danish right now and confusing everybody listening. You wouldn't understand us.
No, but, we would have Danish with a very bad accent.
Danish with a bad accent. Yeah, that would have been interesting and very unique. I'm just going to jump in there because I've not said it for a while. If you comment, you can get in for this book. So keep writing your comments and tagging people. I love that story. And I think we're not going to go too much into this because this is one that you're just going to want to read. And, it's 1878. It's Viking time. Are we correct in thinking that this has zero connection to the Call of the Sea?
Right. It's a different time period and it's a different location. Call of the Sea was primarily in Wales and Ireland, and this is in Wessex, which during this time period was what we now call Southern England. Yeah. And it's a few hundred years different in time period too. So even the Vikings that we're dealing with are a different generation of Viking.
And that's great, really, to be honest, because it gives us a new insight and something a little bit different. That I think that's what we love about your book, Sean. And we talked about this. You always do a good job with your author notes at the end of the book. I'm just kind of intrigued as the readers that are on here. Do you read like the author notes and all those extra things that come at the end of the book? I know it depends on the book for me, but if there's a few authors out there that like are very good at pulling out real true life events. And so when they've done that and it's led me to be very interested, that's my favorite part. I get to the end and then I go look to see what the author has discovered about the author, and then put there in their research and a little bit more information than they've actually been able to include in the story. It's like one of my favorite parts is to then go read those author notes. So looks like we have a few people that saying they love to do that. So Sabrina's asking, okay, I just want to go ahead.
I was going to say, I will say that with this particular story, that there are a few parts of it that are so incredible that you will think that it's the fiction part, but it isn't. And so in the author's note, if you read that, you'll learn which part is fiction, which part is fact. And one of the things that I love as a historical writer is when people will message me and say, I love this book so much, I had to go look this up myself. Because then you know that you've ignited that excitement in what happened all those years ago.
Yeah. I'm going to show this. I'm going to pop this question up because this has come from Sabrina. And she says, was the research harder or easier for the second book?
Because I had written Vikings before, I had a basic idea of what they wore and the armor, the weaponry, the food, those kinds of things. So in that sense it was easier because I had explored those peoples before. But because this is a completely different story, the research for what actually happened during this time period was probably about the same. The difficulty with writing something that's this far back is that there isn't much written about it because they didn't write. And so every time I have to get a new reference book that is specifically for that event or era. And so it's kind of similar, I guess.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks, Sabrina, for that question. That's great. So we're not going to go too much more into this because I don't know what Sean told me whether that was spoiler or not. So I'm not going to say it. But I put love and loyalty on there. I believe there's going to be a lot of tension going on here just because of the seriousness of the situation of the main protagonist, the male protagonist in this book. In the situation, he's having to make some decisions, and it's going to be awesome. But I'm not going to say what because I don't know if that was a spoiler that Sean told me or not. And if I say it, she'll be giving me daggers and she'll be like, okay, no, you've released
the hero and heroine in this book are they're such good people, but they do have their own journeys and they have some big decisions that they have to make. And it's I think
that's all you're going to say.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. I really, really hope you'll enjoy it.
And we've got to wait a whole year for this one, but that's okay. We're gonna do plenty of like other activities. I know for all of these books, I'm going to pull this out right now. For all of these books, I'm going to just pull all of the other authors back in this is still up with me. If they want to, if you don't, just like wave at me and be like, don't pull me back in. Back in. Let's see, we've got Becca. Just make sure you're all muted. Megan and Gentry. Yeah, I wasn't sure, Gentry, whether you wanted to come back in or not. You could have said, no, let me back in. I appreciate that you guys came and joined us today. I know it's a long ways out for these books, but we're excited about the covers. We're excited that they're coming. And that's always, that I feel like with readers, we read a book and then what's next? And so I always like to know that there's fun stuff coming. We're going to wrap this up with 2 more giveaways. I'm going to show you them both immediately, and we're going to give away a copy of each of these books. I'm trying to get myself in the middle here. So this one here is An Uncommon Earl. It is a book by Sean Bessie. It is part of her Georgian Gentleman series. If you haven't been reading that one, it's not the first book, but you can go find the first book and then you can read this one. And they're also standalone. So it's a standalone. So you could read this one. It would be okay. But you have to read the first one because it's my favorite. in that series. And anyway, so we're giving away this one, and then we're giving away this one, which is this is really actually quite new, Megan, right? This is Miss Newbury's List. And so this is Megan's most recent release with Shadow Mountain. And so we're giving away a copy of each of these. And so if you already have a copy, that's fine. You can gift it to a friend. Let's make them a Megan fan or a Shauna and Bessie fan. You can give them a book. And so to enter for this one, I had a very specific question to ask. I would like, let's see, you to tell us why you love historical fiction or historical romance, why you love reading that genre of books. I want to know why. Because I'm a fan of contemporary. I love historical, but I also love contemporary romance. So I want to know why you love historical fiction, historical romance. Drop it in the comments and you'll be entered in to win one of those 2 books. We'll pick them on Friday, same time. So you've got time. If you're watching this a different time, you've got time to enter it. I did want to announce on Friday, if you're local in the Wasatch Front, we're celebrating August, which is Romance Awareness Month, with a really fantastic event that is happening at the Provo Library. You do have to register to get a ticket for that. The tickets are free, but you do have to register because we have seats and it's limited. So we will drop the link in here to get tickets. I did mean to look and see if there were seats available. I think there may be a few left, but if you want to be there, it's Friday at 6 p.m. And we have 20 authors at this event. It's going to be awesome. I'm really excited. So if you're local, come join us at that event on Friday. And thank you, guys. Thank you for coming. Thanks for hanging out with us. This has been a fantastic hour. We're chatting about our spring 24 line of romance and historical fiction. So have a great day. Have a good weekend. Have all of the things. Enjoy romance this month. This is the month to read all of the romance books. So you guys have a great day. Bye.